from Saving Private Ryan, Mr. Vin Diesel. This is the Morning X. Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
How are
Morning.
you?
You know, I tried to do some research on Vin Diesel last night on the internet, except every time I do a search under Vin Diesel, I get about 400 websites that have to do with trucks. I'm serious. It's like every other website
you're
is
mixed in.
the new Ford Explorer Diesel.
If your name is
We all blend in.
Yeah.
If your name's any kind of key word like that, just forget about it.
You know, I was reading this interview with you, and you were saying how Saving Private Ryan, and that was really obviously your first big movie, yet you may never, ever reach that height again in terms of, you know, movie making
Being
experience
involved in that kind of
and the kind of movie and the importance of the movie. And right out of the box, that's what you jump into, you know? That's...
Yeah, it was such a significant film. It's very hard to actually compete with working with Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks on a film so significant.
How many times have you watched that movie?
I've watched the film actually only twice.
Because
Really?
I've seen it twice, and it's so emotional. I don't know if I can watch it again. Such a great movie. But it's just all, it's emotional.
Yeah, it's definitely a heavy film.
Can you watch a movie that's that heavy that you're involved in, and you know you've seen the dailies, you've seen all the behind the scenes stuff, the outtakes.
The impact the same.
Yeah, how can you still get that same impact?
Well, I actually didn't see the dailies. So at that point, all the actors were kind of removed from the whole daily process. But you still are affected by the film. You're affected by the subject matter. And Steven is so brilliant at incorporating the CGI elements and incorporating and really enhancing that whole overall. Like the first 30 minutes, we had no idea it was going to look like that.
Really? You couldn't tell?
It took us 3.5 weeks to shoot that original D-Day invasion. And we had no idea that it was going to look like that it was overwhelming. And literally, us as actors were cringing and holding back and watching all this stuff.
I mean, imagine how many times you had to reset those explosions and all the pyro and all the stuff going off. 3.5 weeks is quick. I thought you were going to say 3.5 months.
No, well, Steven, first of all, executes shots faster than anyone in the world. And he shoots really, really, ambitiously. He's a lot faster and efficient than most directors, obviously. When we were shooting that invasion, we had to do very little acting because there were real live squibs and explosions going off. The ground was shaking. There's 500 Irish soldiers running around that aren't actors, waving around guns and kind of assimilating the scene. And we had to, we come off these boats and we're running off the Higgins boats and we're literally running up the beach and we're freezing and our movement is slowed down a bit. And I remember talking to Ed Burns about this because we were running in formation together. You really were very cautious about where you ran because you could have literally got, very hurt.
Right.
If you went off the path. And you couldn't hear anything. The explosions were going off, so the equilibrium was off. It was very, very intense.
Where was that shot?
We shot that in the south of Ireland. To double for
like you're saying, running. You take a wrong turn, you're stepping in a pyro launch pad.
Yeah.
I read where because I guess Steven works so closely with the actors, and you not only are an actor but a filmmaker as well, that he actually let you operate one of the cameras for a few of the scenes. What was the story?
Well, I went out there. One of the greatest things about going out to do this film was, I would have gotten coffee for him.
Yeah, really. I mean,
if you had $5 million, you couldn't, ask him to be your teacher.
Right.
It either happens or it doesn't. So I come out there, and he knows that I'm an independent filmmaker. And he starts explaining angles and lenses, and we get to about the last 3 weeks of shooting, and I still have to wear, my whole uniform, my wetsuits and everything, because I may have to come in for a cover shot. And he says, Vin, I'm going to give you a 35 millimeter camera to operate.
How cool is that? Spielberg, you're just sitting there going,
It's the most amazing thing. Everyone on set, like Matt David, Ed Burns, are all looking over like, what?
Wow.
Exactly.
And I'm doing this handheld shot. So I had to follow Corporal Upham like into this ditch, and every now and then you see like the camera going all over the place, and it was like a dream come true to be.
Now, did you have any union problems with that, operating the camera?
I think I got out of that.
Because you know how they are.
Oh God, yes.
Now you started off. I mean, you're like guy from the streets of New York, right?
Yeah. Where'd you get your start? Your break?
Well, I started acting when I was 7 years old.
7?
Yeah, I wasn't making money though.
Right.
So when in Hollywood, when guys say I started acting when I was 7 years old, that means their mother took them to commercial auditions.
What were you doing?
Yeah. What did you do at 7?
I was terrorizing the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. You look like definitely the guy who was beating people up when you were.
I actually wasn't.
I mean,
That's irony.
Really?
Yeah, because I hung out with guys 4 or 5 years older than me.
Oh,
And
okay.
had this huge mouth, and I suffered the consequences. Anyway, 7 years old, terrorizing the neighborhood on those banana seat bikes. Do you remember those?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Sure. Stingray.
Exactly. There's a place called the Jane Street Hotel in the Village in New York City. At the bottom, now this hotel is a real seedy hotel, like transvestites and drug users and prostitutes. That's the Village at the time. Throw our bikes outside, run to the bottom level of the hotel where there's a theater. 6 of us kids are terrorizing this theater, vandalizing it. A woman comes out of the darkness into the spotlight, summons us. We come over. We think we're going to get arrested or in trouble. She shoves a script in our face and says, if you want to play here, you come here every day at 4 p.m.
Excellent.
Here's $20 a week.
Wow.
And that was like my first
That's kind of cool.
and only pay gig.
Yeah.
And you loved being on stage.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I'm talking with Vin Diesel, who's got
Yeah.
a couple of movies out. One of them, Pitch Black.
Right.
Tell us about the movie,
Which
Vin.
this isn't a big budget thing, not like Private Ryan or Boiler Room. You have another one with Ben Affleck coming out.
It's actually interesting. It's not as big a budget as the normal sci-fi films. 25 million in Australia. That means probably 35 million ultimately for the budget. But it's significantly bigger than Boiler Room. Boiler Room is
Is it?
more of a Boiler Room costs maybe $8 million.
Really? That's it?
Well, now Pitch Black, because I saw it last week, and it actually looks a lot more expensive than $25 million. And as I was watching it, I thought, this kind of looks very Mad Max-ish in a way. And then I read afterwards, well, there's a reason for that. It was actually filmed in the same exact location as Mad Max, right?
It was shot at it was shot in a place called Coober Pedy, which is in the outback in Australia. It's all Aboriginal sacred ground. And the reason why it looks the way it does is because they didn't pay the actors anything.
Okay.
David Toohey opted to get actors as opposed to box office names and take all the money and put it on the screen.
Well, you're the only name that anybody would recognize in this movie at all.
And prior to that was when I got signed on to do that. That was before Saving Private Ryan even came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is a while ago.
What is the movie about? Explain the premise here.
I should ask you that question, Jimmy.
Okay, it's
This is gonna be
these
good.
guys on a spaceship, and I'm not who are like there's like a black guy and a prisoner who is you, and kind of a hot looking commander, and then some
Rhoda
bounty
Mitchell,
hunter, and it's like a
Cole
mixture. It's like a mixture of people. I'm not quite sure where they're going, but somehow they crash on this deserted planet or
Good.
this empty planet, and.
And all of a sudden, their worst fears
What is it, like Lord of the Flies?
become reality.
Yeah, what happened? Well, so what happens? There are these creatures there that only
not
attack
unlike
during
Fram.
night.
Yeah.
There are these creatures, which I will say the creatures are among the scariest creatures I've ever seen on film, and they only attack at night.
Right.
All right.
They attack. This group of travelers lands on a planet, shipwrecked, and the prisoner who I play escapes, and that's her greatest fear, until they find out that they're on a planet that has these creatures that have devoured every little thing, every living thing on this planet. And now, once the darkness hits because of the eclipse, there's an eclipse that happens, they're doomed.
Right.
And they really have very little chance to
It
get
sounds
off.
like
And-
this is going to be a cult film. Like people are going to be watching this forever.
That kind of Mad Maxian.
It's very much like that.
Very Road
vibe.
Warrior, very, a lot of people on the internet have been comparing it to a lot of the reviews, like Harry Knowles have been comparing it to the Terminator.
Oh, is that right? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, to Terminator, and some people have been calling it this year's Matrix.
We've had you in here for about 10, 15 minutes, and you're a very pleasant guy, a very nice guy. You've got a little bit of a rep. You got kind of a little bit of a rep of being being
Bad
like
boy?
a bad boy, kind of a hard ass,
Well,
On
I
the set?
saw.
Are you talking about on the set or just in life?
Well,
Yeah.
the stories coming out of the sets and stuff is that
Okay.
Vin Diesel's a tough guy. Set the record
What
straight.
story did you hear?
Where's all that coming from?
John Frankenheimer.
Now that's interesting because he
Really?
He stood in that seat.
About 36
He stood-
hours
he,
ago.
He was no
He
more
was
than
here
4 days
Friday.
ago. He was here.
And that's not where we heard that.
Where was he? What movie did you work with Frankenheimer?
You
in?
heard that from article called from Premiere Magazine.
Was it?
Is that what you read? I mean, I haven't read it. I don't know what he's talking about, but Frankenheimer didn't even mention you.
No, I'll tell you. He was very explicit about Val Kilmer, but he didn't mention
He
you
didn't
at
say
all.
anything about you.
I guess I didn't graduate to that level.
No, he had some real interesting things about Val Kilmer. What was it? Island of Dr. Moreau?
Yes.
What was why I never read the story. I just heard things. Oh, Vin Diesel. What was the story that came out, and what was the
Real
reality?
quickly?
Yeah.
I was going to do reindeer games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which part were you going to be? The bad guy?
Did you see it?
Yes.
Sinise? Yeah.
I wasn't going to be Sinise. This is how pathetic it is. Did you see the film?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both did.
Pug.
Who?
Which guy was Pug?
Who's Pug?
That's exactly my point.
That's his point.
Thank you, Barnes.
Which guy
Barnes,
was-
you came in with flying colors.
Who was Pug?
Which guy was Pug?
Jimmy, you're helping out here. This is great.
No, seriously.
No. Was
that's,
he?
I enjoyed the movie, but who's Pug?
Hello, this is what I'm saying.
So you didn't want to
Now,
do the part.
this is the point. I go, the day before I go up there, I had met with the Weinsteins. And the day before I go up there, Frankenheimer calls me and says, listen, man, we'd really love to have you up here as a part of the project. I said, I already told the Weinsteins that this part is not really, there's nothing on the page, there's nothing there.
Right.
I mean, I don't even remember
Obviously,
which
'cause I
guy
don't
this
remember there was
Pug
a Pug.
unless he was one of the bad guys, one of the
bad
gang.
guys,
Yeah.
one
Right.
of I guess the southerner bad guy. And so I said, he said, well, Ben, we're planning on, we're going to add 10. I think this guy wants to, he's from Atlanta or he's from Florida and he wants to go back down there to the warmth and fish. And I think we can incorporate them. And I think we're going to end it with this and have him do that. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exciting. And we'll have you in a beard and Coke bottle glasses. And
I could see you as Gary Sinise's role, but I don't know about the mysterious Pug.
You follow me?
Yeah.
And so I go. He does the thing where he tells me all these great things that I'm going to be able to do when I go down there. I go down there. I say, okay, I'm going to go down there. Once I get down there, all that stuff is out the window. And during rehearsal period. And so I simply said, get an actor that definitely wants to do this and let me, not do this.
So they had.
Bob Weinstein called and said, okay, I totally understand. I'm going to have you do another film. And I thought that we left on amiable terms.
And then you
Right.
see all the stuff
He
in
thought you
print.
were
Wait,
bailing
he's-
on him, right?
And then, I thought, it was, we were going to leave as friends and then, something happens down the road. And then I guess he got really offended and, never had anybody, leave a production.
So you were led to believe the part was a lot meatier than it was when you got on the set.
Yeah,
and you
it's called
thought,
adding something. It's something off page. It's something, working something out
Right.
where the director says, we're going to incorporate this. But it's not contractual.
Very vague. It's not good.
It's very vague, right? So you go up there with this, faith.
And then can you just give us a brief, because I've been hearing a lot about Boiler Room.
Uh-huh.
What's the basic premise of Boiler Room?
Boiler Room is about illegal stock traders
Okay. Kind of like
in
day
a chop shop. It's,
Oh, okay.
It's like a cross between Wall Street and the illegitimacy of Glengarry Glen Ross and selling real estate.
That sounds very
See,
cool.
I'm all over that
yeah,
kind of movie.
especially today because that's such a big thing right now. That's,
I saw you on E promoting that. I guess they caught you at the Sundance Film Festival. Is
Really?
that just a zoo there?
Oh, it's crazy.
Trying to pitch a movie?
Which year did
Yeah, it was premiering.
Yeah, I
it was
saw
a
you
zoo
being
when I
interviewed.
had to.
Right. They had you out on the snow with Giovanni Ribisi and all
That's
the
right.
guys. Yeah.
That's right.
All right, Vin Diesel, you have 15 seconds. One last thing you have to do. The fish quiz. This is very easy. You have 15 seconds to name as many fish as you can. This is a celebrity game we do with everyone that comes in. We have a
Anything
Hall of Fame.
underwater.
This is pressure. This is speed.
It's a speed game.
Anything underwater.
Put it,
Guys, don't do this to me. This is not cool.
Vin, you
Vin,
don't want to go on the books
everybody-
as a zero. You don't want to go on the books as a zero.
Everybody, I think the worst we've had in a while was Kevin Bacon. I think he wasn't
effortless. Just
he was
think
kinda effortless,
menus. It's easy. Speed is key.
Okay, let me think menus.
Here we go.
Anything that swims underwater. It can be a crustacean
Yeah,
or a
anything-
mammal.
Oh, really?
Anything
anything
living
that swims.
underwater.
That'll help
Shrimp.
out.
Anything.
Right.
I gave you one right there. Freebie. Here
Oh
we
my
go.
God! I've got the shrimp in the bag.
You've
Vin
bagged the
Diesel,
shrimp.
Fish quiz. Go.
Shrimp, halibut, sunfish, guppy, goldfish, mako, white shark, great white shark, dolphins, angelfish, octopus, eel.
11. That's not bad at all.
11. Yeah.
That's respectable.
That's not bad at
19
all.
is the champion.
Yes.
Why'd you do that to me? Don't let me.
That was
Failure,
good.
failure.
You're
You
not
got
a fail.
11.
That was
That's double
that was
digits, man. You're on the board. Vin
Unbelievable.
Diesel, thank you very much, sir.
I had a lot of fun here. Thank you.
You're listening to the best of the Morning X. You can also catch it on the Morning X podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, or at 99x.com.